Taxon talking with former social worker and expecting great-grandmother Lenore Freedman here. She is a resident of Philadelphia. She is Jewish, as I am, and she has already generated some fans in the 2 days since we put up her first video on YouTube. And one, Deborah Philman, had a two-part question. The first part is elsewhere regarding the elderly Jewish vote, not elderly senior Jewish vote. But the second part of the question to Lenore is this. As a social worker, what is your opinion of social safety net programs as Democrats have set them up to apply more and more to middle-class recipients? Do you think it's helping or hurting people, not just financially, but socially and culturally? And I guess you had a career, you worked in social work, and you have some opinions on welfare, inevitably. So I'm wondering how you respond.
Welfare, as I used to know it, was temporary. And there was people had to have an education or look for a job while they were on welfare. That's what I did with my clients. They had to go to school, they had to take courses, they had parenting classes. The object was to get them off of welfare. I believe Obama wants to keep them on welfare. And do you know what that really is? It's socialism.
Right.
It is to keep people down. If only people could understand how demeaning his plan is. Mm-hmm. It isn't to help people, to help them to become what they could be, to maximize their life. It is to keep people down. I think it's horrible.
And you worked in the system for years.
Yes, and I know.
Can you talk about what exactly you did, the kind of people you worked with?
Most of mine were parents that were drug addicted, children were abused, single parents. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the cases were unfounded. A lot of times I had to take children away from their parents. Mm-hmm. But I help them. I try to help them to either go to community college, take parenting skill classes, do everything to get off of food stamps, and that's what we had right before the access card, to help them to become, and they were young. They weren't just, they were black, they were Hispanic, they were white, some of them were Jewish, as a matter of fact. And my role was first to protect the children, second of all, to help the parents to get their lives together, to get their kids back. And I had a lot of success and a lot of sad situations.
So, and with that experience, what do you see about the fact that more and more Americans, at a very rapid rate, are going on food stamps or going on welfare?
It's horrible. It's so sad. There's no jobs out there. It's tragic. It's demoralizing for people that have worked before to have to get food stamps, to go to the food banks. I see it, okay? I see it even now. Even when I go to one of the places I go to, I see people come in to get bags of food. It's horrible. Right. A man, it's even worse for a man than a woman. I mean, I can't imagine that somebody that has always worked, supported his family, to have to get a handout. Right. It's horrible.
And part of the question was, beyond the economic, what do you think this does socially and culturally? What do you think it does to our culture as a whole?
Well, look at it. Look what's happening. I watch TV. I see people that worked in coal mines that lost their jobs. It's horrible. I imagine the suicide rate is pretty high too. I mean, I can't imagine ever being in that position. I can't imagine, and for a breadwinner to not be able to take care of his family, it's so tragic. Yeah, and yet I don't see it will never get better under Obama.
Do you think Obama wants more people to be dependent on the government?
Yes, and I don't know where he thinks he's going to get this money to support them. I'd really like to know what his plan is, except he has no plan, and he really never says. I haven't heard of a budget plan yet from him. Where is this money coming from to keep these people down, to support them? Why does he want that?
Well, I imagine it keeps them in power. You know, communists like people.
This is exactly what it is. This is not it's not a democracy as I knew it. It is socialism.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
Well, it's actually a republic, not a democracy, but that's another matter for another time.
Well, I mean, it's not the America that we had before,
Exactly.
okay? Can't people see it? Can't they see that it will never get better under Obama? Because this is what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe this is what he wants. He's a socialist. Definitely. I can't, and I don't believe he loves America. You didn't ask me that, but I'm telling you.
Do you have any thoughts to middle-class people who really want to keep their self-respect? This wasn't in the question, but I want to follow up. Middle-class people who are now feeling economically crunched and have to now take advantage of welfare, food stamps, etc., because times are tough. Any advice for them?
Vote Republican. That's the only advice I have. If you want your life to change and get better, vote Republican. And I mean it with every part of my being. It will never happen with Obama. It can only get worse. And the middle class that you call will get wider and wider and wider and become...
You mean the lower class?
Well, you're saying the middle class are becoming like that now.
Right. I mean, a lot more of them becoming dependent. Anyhow, I didn't mean to interrupt your final thought there.
Well, I don't like to use lower class.
Right.
I mean, the middle class is, as he calls it, they're not working. I mean, lawyers, any people that have gone to college now are having such a hard time getting a job. It's so sad. And I don't understand why the Democrats don't see it. Why don't they care? And I don't,
People on welfare vote Democratic most of the time. That might be why. It keeps them in power.
I can't believe that they're not good people. I just think that they're so used to voting Democrat that they assume he's like the other Democratic presidents. He's not. He's an enigma. There is nobody like Obama. Thank God, and I hope we never have another 4 years of this. I shudder to think what would happen to our country if he is reelected.
On that note, Lenore Freedman, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, former social worker, thank you for your time.